Hello, YouTube land, and welcome to the Get In and Get Out Nintendo podcast, episode 39. I am your host, Dantes, and of course, joining me, even though he had a little bit of a rough day today, Caleones. How you doing, Caleones? I don't know if I should ask you that, but how you doing tonight?
Well, how you doing, Dantes? How you doing, everybody? And yeah, it's one of those days where this right here is probably going to be the highlight of the entire day. It's been a horrible day. Having car problems, other things happening as well. So it's I just want to get through the night, wake up tomorrow, and for it to be a brand new day. Even though I still gotta go and buy a new battery for the vehicle, so there's still gonna be a carryover, but it should be a better day.
That is good news. I don't know. Should we start with the sad news, or should we go
Well,
ahead do the rigmarole first?
well, go ahead and do the real rigmarole, and then tell them about our possible new schedule for the channel. So there's gonna be some changes.
Okay. Anyway, quick rigmarole. I want to welcome everybody to the Get In and Get Out Nintendo podcast, episode 39, right here at the Force In Unison gaming channel. Please remember to subscribe, like, and comment so you can make these two crazy MFs happy. Also remember, hey, you don't want to see ugly faces, Caleones? Even though I'm 2 episodes behind, but you don't want to see ugly faces? Hey, we got a solution for you. Go to SoundCloud and iTunes and download this podcast for free. Rate us over there so you can show some love. Hey, also, hey, we do have a Facebook page, Caleones. Call at Force In Unison Gaming. And finally, and Dantes says finally, go to chiguerosnews.com and give some love and clicks to my boy Caleones. Well, I forgot switchcore.net, of course, and give some clicks and love to my boy Caleones. With all that said, ready to roll, Caleones? Okay, so the bad news is that Toys and More Club will go into a hiatus, I guess you could put it. It's going to be a while. We may see them again. We may not see them. It is a family decision, and I ask the chat to please respect that family decision. If you don't want to be here because the Toys and More Club portion of the channel is going to take a break, you're more than welcome to unsubscribe. I have no issues. If you don't want to be here, we don't want to keep you here. We're here to have fun. We hope that we can continue the content, and we'll do our content. We'll still do Xenoblade Mondays. We'll still do streaming Wednesdays with Caleones now. We'll do, of course, the Get In and Get On Nintendo podcast, and of course, we'll do the Tuesdays, which will be the Force In Unison Live. That is not gonna change. This Splatoon 2 tournament, it is not gonna change either. So, the audio is low. I don't know why the audio is slow. Let me see. My mic. Oh, yep, I see why. Hello. Yep. I had my thank you, Dantes. I have my the volume. I don't know why the volume changed and it was really low. Now it should be fine. So I'm gonna repeat myself. Again, Toys and More Club will be taking a hiatus, like I stated. It is a family decision. If you don't wanna be here, it is understandable. Please unsubscribe. That is okay. We will continue doing the content. We will continue doing Xenoblade Mondays, Force In Unison Live on Tuesdays, streaming Wednesdays with Caleones on Wednesdays, and of course, Saturday we'll do the Get In and Get Out Nintendo podcast. We will still do the Splatoon 2 tournament, okay? So that still will happen. Understandable, like I stated. We will still do content. We will still stream. We will then refill that portion of the channel with other content. We don't know what's going to happen. But, again, please respect it. Please be respectful. And then we'll move forward with this decision. Caleones, anything to add to the people in the chat?
Right now it's I guess nothing else that needs to be said except for Friday seems like it's not going to continue as it is. If when it comes to Toys and More Club, if they do any type of content, it's going to be kind of like like a straight to video kind of thing, but it's it's for the best. It's a family decision and something that I know we do this for fun. We do this because we love talking about video games and all of that. But at the same time, you have to think about yourself, think about your family, think about how things are being affected, and make a decision on that. So as much as we would love to continue to do it the same way, I have the two different roles, which is one being on here and also being a parent. So that's the decision that we have taken for now, and we'll see how everything develops. Like I said, it's we're calling it a hiatus. We're not saying it's completely like canceled or anything like that, but we'll see how everything goes.
Okay. With that said, let's start the show officially. So, Caleones, I know it's been a rough day, but are you ready? For the no one in attendance and the 8 people watching around the world, let's get ready for Reggie's Hot Topics of the Week.
My body is ready.
My body's ready. What's on cue today, Caleones, with the first hot topic?
Okay, so the first hot topic we're going to be talking about is the Nindies showcase that we had last week. Guys, I know that whenever we have those showcases, you're thinking about a Nintendo Direct, big announcements, big reveals, and things like that. But it is Nindies, and it's specific for the indie type game. So of course, it's going to be a little more low key. This one, even though last year's Nindies showcase to me was awesome. This one was shorter. I believe it lasted somewhere around like 11, 12 minutes long. And it didn't really have that many reveals. There were a couple that were done afterwards, but still, it was to concentrate on those games that would have been overlooked if they would have been shown during the Nintendo Direct. So Nintendo, I'm always glad that they're doing it this way. They're having a separate section for Nindies, so indie games can get the highlight and be out there, be heard, be noticed, and hopefully people will follow them and end up buying them.
Yep, sorry. Rough day, people, rough day. So I don't know, Caleones, do you want to go through the list and tell me what were your big ones that you thought presented well during the Nindies?
Well, I mean, there were a couple that presented well. For me personally, and this is something that I told you as soon as they announced it, it was the Lumens remastered. This is kind of like the HD version of the original Lumens that came out on the PSP. And if you remember, PSP came out when Dantes and I were in college. I was living. I was living in my own place, but it was kind of like I was living at your place because I was there all the time. And I used to borrow your PSP. I used to play with it all the time. And the game that I would absolutely play the most out of all of them was Lumens on the PSP. And that's one of those games where it is, to me, the best. The best. I mean, like this type of game, to me, is the best one since the original Tetris on the Game Boy. And it was that good. Not only are the puzzles great, but the music is one of the highlights from it as well. And coming from the PSP, it's one of those games that I never thought would be possible on the Switch. Not because they couldn't, but because I thought it was a Sony, kind of like a Sony exclusive or Sony game, because that's you associate the PSP with Lumens. So once I heard HD version was coming out. Yeah, once I heard about it, I was glad, I was ecstatic, and I'm gonna be playing it a lot on the Switch once it comes out.
Okay, so for me, Banner Saga is a game that is an interesting game. It's a game that is connected, all 3 parts. Always been interested to play it. It's been on the Vita for a while now, but Banner Saga 3 is coming for the Switch. 1 and 2 is also gonna come to the Switch, so at some point you get the full trilogy in the system, so that was pretty good news. Any other game on the list, Caleones, if you're watching in front of you, which ones came on?
And so I barely heard the last thing that you said on that one. I'm sorry.
No, the list. So what was the list? The
Okay,
games.
so
Any other games? Do you want to mention?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go through the full list. I mean, for people out there, if there's any games that you like, just go ahead and put it on the comment section. But they have the Mark of the Ninja remaster, Banner Saga 3, Lumens remaster, Just Shapes and Beats. They had Reigns, Kings and Queens, The Messenger, Fantasy Strike, Pool Panic, Garage, Lightfall, Bomb Chicken. Pody from no, that comes from Henchman and Gun. West of Loading and Bad North were the games that were announced during the Nindies. Some games that I mean, I was hoping that we were going to be shown again Battle Chasers, Night War, and finally get a release date because Joe Madura stated like 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, that the game was already submitted to Nintendo and it was approved. So they were just pending on when to give a release date, but they did not. And there's I mean, others that some people were looking for that were not announced. I would just like I forgot one of those games. It's like like Hell Knight, or I forgot the name, but it was another one that people are waiting for. That game was, I believe, but the developers said that they were going to share some news later on, but not during the Indies. So yeah, I mean, it was 11 minutes long. It wasn't as big. Didn't really have like world-shattering announcements or anything like that. But it was still a pretty good list of fun games that I believe most of those would be enjoyable to play.
Okay, so evens, yeah, good. That's good. Playing Smash 64. That's old school. You're playing N64 or you're I don't know if you're playing an emulator. Dick, welcome. PS Wii U, PC, whatever your name is, welcome. Too long to pronounce. There's some news. Well, if you guys want to start from the start, please go and start the podcast from the start. Anyway, with that said, we need to change the mood in this room today. Caleones, go to the next piece of news because there's some really good news about Nintendo and the last 12 months. How much the Nintendo Switch has sold in the U.S. Hey, yeah, and America.
And I want to say real quick, the game was Hollow Knight. Okay. That's another one that people are waiting for a release date. But before the Nindies presentation, the developer said they were not going to show it at the presentation, but they were going to have some news available, like a week after or so. So we'll see how that turns out. Moving on, like over to the NPD and the sales, the Nintendo Switch now in its first year has the highest install base for a console platform in U.S. history. What that means is that from the first 12 months of sales, no other console in the history of the U.S. has sold more units than the Nintendo Switch has. Of course, certain things do change once you start going to the 15, 16, 17 months. So we'll see how the Nintendo Switch keeps up during that time. But I believe by the end of this month, we're going to have I think it's the investors meeting with Nintendo, and we're going to get specific details about sales, not only in the U.S., but worldwide as well. Either way, what you cannot deny is how well the Nintendo Switch has been selling, and regardless of this first quarter of 2018, the games may have been lacking as well. But you got to remember, Nintendo Switch came out in March of last year. This is the year winding down, so now we're basically starting the second year of the system, and we've already had big announcements like Smash, which will be coming out later this year as well. But Dantes, what does this piece of news tell you?
Okay, a couple of chat-outs quickly. Historian, welcome to the chat. Splatoon 2 tournament will be happening Wednesday. We're going to continue Wednesday officially on streaming Wednesday on a normal date. We will continue our Splatoon tournament. We should be fine to finish the last couple of rounds, and then the following Wednesday we'll have our championship. So I think that's going to be our schedule. We're going to keep it like that for now. More so that next week is going to be spring break, and a lot of things it's hard to do more content. But yes, Splatoon 2 tournament will continue to happen. Events, okay, playing on the Wii. I'm guessing in the Virtual Console. That's cool. I think the Wii Pro controller was a really good controller, in my opinion, to play Smash. Anyway, what Caleones was talking about, I think it's great. The Switch never expected in the U.S. more so. In Japan, I think we all agree that we knew that thing was going to be a huge hit in Japan, Caleones. We never expected how he has taken over the U.S. market, right? First 12 months has sold more than the PS2, which is a juggernaut in itself historically, and the PS4, which I believe is also a juggernaut because he will get to over 100 million souls. So that's congratulations on the Switch. And even in Europe, yeah, it's not a strong territory for Nintendo, but it's not like they're not selling either. You know what I'm saying? So I think Nintendo should be happy with the sales. But bring to the next article the 200 million sold by this analyst. They're saying based on the sales he expects to sell 200 million. But touch on that article and we'll bring it into this discussion.
Okay, so this one is coming from Nikkei, and basically they're stating, and I mean, to me, this is, if it does this, it's going to be a huge surprise, and there's no way possible that it's going to be able to do it without having like different versions, like the 3DS, going from the 3DS to the XL to the new 3DS to the S and those. But Nikkei is basically stating that according to one estimate from theirs, the Switch global sales will reach at least 200 million units sold. If the Switch, for me, if it would reach 100 millions, that would make it one of the most successful consoles of all time and a huge success coming from the Wii U. But 200 million units, how can you put that into perspective, Dantes?
So quickly, Evans, Mario Maker should be coming to the Switch. There's no doubt about that. I think that's a slam dunk. And yeah, Smash 5 is going to have at least 8v8, and hopefully we will be streaming that. So we fight against you guys. If you want to go and face me and Caleones, we'll see your skills. Let me put it that way. Hopefully Rex is there.
And before you say yours, Evans, I have it through a good source, and hopefully, I mean, it's going to materialize, but things change all the time, that more than likely we are not going to see Mario Maker Deluxe. We are going to see Mario Maker 2, the sequel, coming out on the Switch.
Yep.
But we'll see how that turns out.
So quickly, to hit that question and comment, it's interesting because I believe what's going to happen, Caleones, and maybe I may be wrong, but I could see a Little Big Planet deal with the next Mario game. And what I mean with that is you're going to have a full-fledged Mario game, a 2D full-fledged Mario game with story and everything, but then you have the Mario Maker piece of it. So then you can even play with the assets of the new game and then build stages and, of course, the original assets for Mario Maker. That's my dream. Like, you could have a full-fledged designed by Nintendo 2D Mario game, but then you have your Mario Maker tools there. I think that would be a slam dunk. So I don't know what you think about that.
Well, I mean, that'll be kind of like taking the first game and releasing the second one with a story mode.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
So it'll be the equivalent of it. So yeah, I mean, it's the whole purpose of a story mode, quote unquote, would be to show people how the engine works, how to do it, how to build it, and then you go ahead and create on your own. So I mean, if Nintendo does something like that, it'll be worth it. It'll be awesome, and I think it will help even with the younger crowd to see how it's done and to let the creativity strive and go out, and maybe they can do some collaboration between the Mario Makers and the Nintendo Labo type of deals. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's a bunch of possibilities, but Nintendo, if they're doing it, it'll be in good hands.
Yep. Okay, so going back to what we were doing with hot topics, so 200 million. I don't think this is correct, Caleones. I mean, the PS2, which is the most successful console sold, did not get to 200 million. The DS, which is the most successful handheld of all time, did not make the 200 million.
Yeah. And 155 million the PS2 and 154 million the DS.
Correct. And I believe that those two consoles are representation of the times where the 2DS, the DS now, but the DS was innovative with the dual screen, and that caused a lot of stir with the handheld market, and of course it had good games. And then you have the PS2, which had great games, one of the best generations of all time, even though I still feel that the PS2 is my least favorite PlayStation console. Don't kill me. and it's sold on the back end of being a DVD player. It was my first DVD player. It was your first DVD player. A lot of people's first DVD player was the PS2. So Sony was smart with what they did it. So, but there's nothing that tells me that the Switch, more so with the competition of the mobile market, of competing against themselves, because they're still supporting the 3DS and competing still with the PS4 and the Xbox X. It is what it is. There's still competition. Even though I still feel that the Switch is a different generation, it is still competition on the market. And NPD numbers will show that, and we have the next article to mix into this. PlayStation 4 is not going anywhere right now. It's like still also, it won February, because of course they had Monster Hunter that came out. So the competition between Sony and Nintendo is going to continue the whole time. So again, with more options of gaming that you have now more than in the past, because when the PS2 was the number one, Caleones, there was no competition basically, right? The GameCube and Xbox weren't even close. And now in the DS, there's no handheld competition on the market at all for Nintendo. I mean, even the PSP, which sold 80 million, and you would say that's respectful, Caleones, 80 million, still not anywhere near close the DS numbers. My point to all that is the competition. The Switch has a harder time making those sales, in my opinion, because of the amount of competition and the amount of distractions the kids today are going to have with gaming, with mobile, with TVs, with Netflix, with all that stuff. It's harder, in my opinion, to strive to get to 200 million, right? I believe, and I will make the same prediction that I made for the PlayStation. I believe that the Switch will end up around the 80 million. I may be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. That's fine. It may hit the 100. Hey, the same with the PS4. I believe the PS4 at most is going to get to the 100 because technology is advancing so much, Caleones, that by 2 years now, PlayStation 5 is going to have the new PlayStation 5 coming out, right? That means that cuts the PlayStation down to the size. And I wouldn't be surprised, Caleones, if the Switch, even though Nintendo's saying that they want it to last 10 years, I wouldn't be surprised. Well, not 10 years, but a long time. I wouldn't be surprised if by 5 or year 6, they're going to be making the Switch's successor. Because technology is just moving too fast, Caleones. It is not like the old days where you could have the same chipset and you'll be happy about it, right? So we'll see what happens. 200 million, in my opinion, is too much. It may make the 100. I think it will make the 100. I'm still sticking to my original prediction. I don't want to look like a fool, but it will make the 100 probably. But 200, Caleones, I don't think so. I don't know if you want to add something to that.
Okay, so there's 3 different things that have to happen in order for Nintendo to, for me to get to 100 millions. And I mean, I'm not even going to touch 200 million, but to get to 100 millions. And one is going to be, it needs to be on the market for a good 5, 6, 7 years is the first thing. So how is it going to be on the market for 5, 6, 7 years? Then you have, like I said, you have the Nintendo Switch, then you have the Nintendo Switch Pro, you have the Nintendo Switch Mini, and you do those same iterations or different iterations within the same family. So it still counts the sales wise, together, like kind of like the PS4 Pro and the PS4. Those sales are counted together, even though, I mean, one is more powerful than the other one because it's an upgrade. But that's one thing. The second thing is there needs to be a price drop for the system. Nintendo cannot do like the Wii U because the Wii U spent like 4.5 years on the market before it was completely canceled. And it started at $300 and it ended at $300. So there was never a price drop. I mean, there's certain things that they said maybe it's because they just wanted to make sure people wouldn't buy it since the Switch was coming out, or whatever the decision. Maybe they were not able to make a profit because of the gamepad and what they had decided with it. I mean, who knows what was the rationale behind it. So that's the second thing that needs to happen. First, different iterations, and being out for like 6, 7 years, a price drop, and then the third one, and it's going to be something that for me is going to be hard, is how Nintendo manages their IPs. You've never really seen like 2 main Mario games in a single console. Only on the Nintendo 64 you saw the Legend of Zelda, and you saw the Majora's Mask. So you saw Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask on the same one. on the GameCube is when Twilight Princess came out, and then it came out on the Wii U as well. Even though it was kind of like the same day, but still, I consider N64 with two Zeldas, and then each console afterwards with only one main release Zelda, the other ones being an HD version of the previous console. So more than likely for it to get there, there needs to be two main Mario games, two main Zelda games, one maybe two Metroids or two Pokemons, things like that. With how long it's going to stay on the market, so um, how Nintendo's going to work that out, I'm not exactly sure. Yes, to me it can get to 100 million, but to the 200 million mark is I think is way too much. You got to consider that, like you said, Nintendo is dividing the attention in between the Switch. Then you have, of course, the PS4 and the Xbox One as the competition, and then you have the tablets, you have smartphones, you have computers, you have, I mean, different a lot of different devices where you can not do all of the things that you do on the Switch, but you can get like similar things. You're not really gonna find the Nintendo IPs on those unless they Nintendo themselves produces a smartphone application. But it's gonna be hard. I don't know how they got to that estimate. If they get there, I'll be the happiest person in the world if I can say that they broke the record for most consoles sold. But in this day and age, it's going to be difficult. Like you said, PS2 didn't really have competition. GameCube wasn't really a competition. The Xbox wasn't really a competition. The DS had no competition, even though, like you said, the PSP sold 80 million systems, and the 80 million is good. I mean, that's a really good number, but it still didn't get close to 150 because smartphones weren't really developed like they are right now, and you couldn't really get those type of games anywhere else. So it's going to be hard for Nintendo, but I'm not sure if they're going to go through different iterations or if they're going to like change over to the Nintendo Switch 2 and start a new generation. So who knows? I mean, people out there, if you can tell us how Nintendo can get to 200 million systems sold, go ahead and post it in the comment section. But 100 millions would be an achievement in itself. 200 millions, it's still hard for me to believe.
Yep. I agree. I think we both agree, Caleones, that it's going to be rough for it. But it's interesting news. Still good news. Everybody thought, Caleones, the consoles were dead. And then you have right now a PS4 that is going to get to the 100, a Switch that is probably going to get to 100. And even if, I know I give a lot of crap to the Xbox brand, but hey, it's still 30 to 40 million. And if the lifetime cycle of the Xbox ends up at 50, I think that's nothing to sneeze about either. So, it seems like the video game market is healthy, and we should be happy about it. And it's going to be interesting because the fanboy war is going to be interesting because to me, the Nintendo Switch is a next-gen console. So it's going to be next-gen. So when the PS5, can the PS5 even reach those numbers and bypass? Or Nintendo, because of where they are in the cycle, won the generation because they're so far ahead. So we got more interesting things to discuss as we move forward. Or the Switch may just say, no, it is part of this generation because the Wii U just was a colossal failure, that it was better just to jump into the Switch, right? I don't know. I'm a easy guy, Caleones. I say Nintendo Switch is next gen, and it's gonna be interesting when the new Xbox and the PS5 come out. Can they even, pass the Switch? Because the Switch has a huge head start, and you can see it just by the numbers. The first 12 months, the best-selling console in the U.S. of all time. That is nothing to sneeze about, Caleones. Think about that. The PS2. That thing sold like a MF. So anyway, congratulations, Nintendo. But we'll stay here quickly. Go to MPD so we can end hot topics, Caleones.
Okay, and one last thing about the PS2. I believe it was on the market for like 10 years also. So I mean that tells you how long you got to be out there and selling consistently, in order to get to 155 million consoles sold, which is I mean the greatest selling console in history. But moving over to the MPD sales result, and this is for the month of February. We have like the chart of the overall best-selling games, and we have a new number one console when it comes to like system sales as well. So as far as the games themselves, We had the Monster Hunter World, Call of Duty World War II, then NBA 2K18 number 3, and then Dragon Ball Fighters 4, Grand Theft Auto 5 number 5, Shadow of the Colossus number 6,
That's good.
UFC 3, number 7, Kingdom Come Deliverance number 8, Mario Kart 8 number 9, and Super Mario Odyssey number 10.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like that because there's a lot of single-player games, Caleones, in the top 10.
Yes.
That's really good.
Yeah, we have the Oshu Sox Fest idea. The NBA 2K games are always up there. The Call of Duty games, Grand Theft Auto doesn't die. It's always up there. But just going down through the list. Number 11 was Breath of the Wild. We had number 14 was Bayonetta. Well, number 12 was Breath of the Wild. Number 14 was Bayonetta 2. And that closes out the Nintendo games from the list.
Yep.
Just so you know, for the Nintendo games, it is all physical. They don't count digital.
Yep.
I never understood why not, but it's only based on physical games. And among the Nintendo games themselves, Mario Kart 8 was the best selling. Splatoon came in at number 5. So remember, this is the US. It is not Japan. In Japan, Splatoon 2 still is
the king.
A top 3 selling games. From the very beginning. So it's been doing great. But aside from this, and it is something that I'm not really seeing on here, is that the Nintendo Switch came in at number 2 when it came to the best-selling consoles, with the PS4 being
thought
number
came number
1.
3, dude. Sorry.
Number 3?
Yeah, it came number 3 because it was this is GAF numbers. I don't know if it's true or not. You know how it is. It was I think PS4 won by 30,000 consoles, something to that extent, and Xbox then Switch. But what people were talking in that, I think it was more because Nintendo did not have a big game. Bayonetta, it is still not a big game. That's what I mean. I'm really interesting to see Bayonetta 3, how well it sells, right? So I'm really, and that's a good game. So, but it also came out on the Wii U, so the original that Bayonetta 2. So I don't know. It's fine. Xbox fighting, it always feels like it's always in second because it's like PlayStation and Nintendo trade places. When PlayStation is number 1, Switch is 3, and when Switch is number 1, PlayStation is 3. So it's been like that a couple of months because what I'm saying is November, PlayStation 1, Switch was 3rd. Then December and January, Switch was number 1. I think PlayStation was 3rd on both months, and then this month is in reverse. So I don't know. Xbox is saying, no, we're staying with number 2. I don't know. Still, it doesn't matter. They all of them sold and they're close. All of them were close in the MPDs, Caleones, which means that that's how close they are. So sales, it's just like from 1 to 3 jumping back and forth. It's going to happen a lot because they're selling consistently close in the USA, right? So.
Yeah, and we'll see this coming month in March because, again, the biggest release from Nintendo has been Kirby. And I believe in Japan, it sold over 200,000 copies in Japan alone. But the PlayStation has Ni no Kuni 2 coming out this month as well. And then next month is going to be the Nintendo Labo versus God of War. Yes, two completely different games, but they are supposed to be system pushers. So we'll see what happens with those.
I think March, Sony may have it. I believe Ni no Kuni is bigger than Kirby, at least here. Maybe me because I'm a huge Ni no Kuni fan. But April, I'll give it to the Switch. Labo could be huge, Caleones, and I think it's going to get that casual crowd that Nintendo needs to push the Switch to the 100 million mark, right? When you get to 100 million, you got the casual crowd bought your system. No, Norma, you're not late. It's all good. You can keep enjoying the podcast. It's all good. Anyway, Caleones, with that said, fun talks. Still, the good news is the Switch, first 12 months, destroying the competition, which is good news, and that shows you because the quality of the games have been there, Caleones, with the how many awards is Breath of the Wild has won? Whew. We got a couple of news just talking about that. So anyway, with that said, Caleones, I think we're done with Reggie's Hot Topics. So let's move and quickly switch it around to Onuma's News Burst. And what is the first piece of news in Anuma's Newsburst, Caleones?
Well, the first piece of news, for the news burst is going to be that at the NAV Awards, the 2018 awards, Nintendo has had great success in it. Super Mario Odyssey and Zelda Breath of the Wild enjoyed multiple nominations and wins for this one. So when it comes to some of the wins that they had on here, I'm just gonna go scroll through it really quick. The best song, original or adapted, was the Jump Up Superstar for Super Mario Odyssey. Then we had, I believe, scrolling through here, the original light mix score for a franchise that was for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. We had, and I should have done just a quick list on there instead of having to scroll up and down. But in next one came out to be, and it was I think it's 5 wins for Mario, 4 wins for Zelda. Game and franchise for family. Super Mario Odyssey was the winner on that one. Game of the year, not Zelda Breath of the Wild, Dantes.
Yeah, it was Mario Odyssey.
It was Super Mario Odyssey won for best game of the year.
That's weird. That's rare, Caleones. Because Zelda has been taking all the crowds. But hey, it's still Nintendo. Nintendo's like, well, sure, we'll take it. I mean, it's Mario Odyssey. Who cares?
Yeah, well, I mean, Mario Odyssey also won for best game design for a franchise. So, I mean, overall, this is what we talked about, before. Okay, so of course, our game of the year last year was, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. When it comes to, well, not game of the year, but our favorite game, the one that we had the most fun playing.
Game of the year, we both agree that Zelda still takes the crowd.
We gave our game of the year to Zelda, Breath of the Wild, but technically, Super Mario Odyssey was the most complete game and more the best, more polished game. So that's another agreement that we had, and it seems like this is the same thing that they're saying on here as well. So either way, Nintendo, regardless, Zelda, Super Mario Odyssey, even though this is probably the first time I've seen Super Mario Odyssey win, but they kept it in the family, which is the important thing for them. Aside from this one, we had the Game Developers Conference Awards for 2018 as well. And on this one, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was the Game of the Year recipient for the award. Yep. It won 3 awards total, but this is just continuing the streak for Breath of the Wild. No, it wasn't Super Mario Odyssey, but yeah, it is the consensus overall best game of the year. And I believe Legend of Zelda has won the second most awards in history when it comes to game of the year. I believe the one that has won the most is The Witcher 3, and with Zelda coming in at second place. Yeah, so cool. That's how
Witcher 3
great
is a huge game.
Wins. Yes, and even though they're different games, but it's open world type ish game. So it seems like like Skyrim is another one that won a bunch of Game of the Year's awards. So it seems like those are the type of games that get honored if they are done well.
Yep.
Moving on to the next one, and this is the last chance to buy a Wii Shop channel games. So the service is going to be ending on March 26th. So you have 2 more days to do so. But the Wii Shop is going to be ending. It's going to be closing. I'm surprised that they actually kept it open this long. Yeah, it's
well, that's why even Stevens was playing Smash 64 on the Wii. He was saying, let me buy the game right now before it goes away. Give him a little bit of a couple of dollars.
So, but yeah, it's the Wii. It was a great console. If it would have had HD, so you can use HDMI and produce 720 or 1080. It would have been alive for a lot longer.
You see those games in emulator, Caleones. They're like the art style is killer on the Wii. Zelda Skyward Sword. That game in HD, dude. I'm telling you, it looks really good. Anyway, keep going.
There's rumors. Like, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But moving on to the next one. The Nintendo has filed a patent for possible trading card set using Amiibo tech. Okay, so I know that people were talking about this one, and a lot of people were excited. They were talking about, Animal Crossing on the Switch and all of that. But I mean, it's kind of like the same thing they did on the Wii U. Instead of having the amiibo, you had the cards. But my biggest takeaway from this one is the artists that made the drawings on the cards. Yeah, I don't know, like they could have used somebody else. I know that
You
this is
you,
more
you would have done
technical.
better, Caleones, right?
Yeah, but
When
I
is
mean, this is more
when is your
technical than
trading card
anything.
games coming?
No, it's not. It's not a trading card. It's an MMO RPG, pencil and paper type. So we'll see what happens with that one. Hey, eventually we may do a video, a live stream with people playing on there and to test it out, but that won't happen for another 2 to 3 years. So pray for us that we're still here. Um, but anything you want to share with this one?
No, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it'll be interesting how Nintendo may use this functionality, maybe even more, to do a trading card game, something with Nintendo characters. I mean, Sony has tried something like that. Like, what was that game? Eye of the Beholder or something like that it was called. I don't even remember for the PlayStation, that you bought the cards and then the camera will look at it. So it was like a augmented reality type of game. Um, but again, Sony doesn't have what Nintendo has, which is the greatest IP on the planet. So imagine if Nintendo could do something like that with a trading card game with amiibo functionalities. It could be a big hit. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I'm not too happy about when it comes to the Switch. The 3DS has cameras. It has the two cameras on the back, so you can do the augmented reality and those types. The Switch doesn't really have it, so you wouldn't necessarily be able to do augmented reality. It'll be more so by using the gyro controls and kind of like recognizing which way you're looking. So that's the only way that it could do it, but. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe the next Switch is it'll be a slight upgrade with camera included, and they can do those things. But that's us getting away too long or too much from this piece of news. So I'll go ahead and move on to the next one. So the Yu Suzuki, he was talking on behalf of Shenmue 3 and a possible release on the Nintendo Switch. Surprisingly, or not surprisingly, he said that currently nothing is planned for the moment. So he didn't really shut the door on the project being on Switch. But at this moment, they're not considering it. What they should really worry about is just releasing on the PS4 and Xbox One, because that game has been in development
Just
for
PS4 and PC right now, Caleones.
just PS4 and PC.
Yep.
So, well, I mean, Xbox, I feel for you.
Well, I don't. But anyway, the only thing I'm gonna say is that this may happen. Switch is too popular. The only thing that I will say though is that as being a small indie developed studio, right? Typically they focus in just one or two, and then they expand to other consoles. Guacamelee is a perfect example of that. That's a great indie game, awesome game, and they focus on the PlayStation. Took the deal with Sony to build the game, and with the rewards or the the gains that they got from the sales, they were able to now put the gaming Xbox and Switch. So these type of deals, which they're being indie studios who've done the same deal with Nintendo themselves, saying that they're gonna go first to the Switch. It's smart. You do those deals. You focus on one console. You put it out there. You sell some, and then you can start expanding, the crowd. Hey, it's that guy 6969. Welcome to love your last four numbers. Welcome. Happy that you're here having some fun with us tonight. Go ahead, Caleones, with the next piece of news.
Yeah, actually, his name reminds me of like Inception, and when they're all like put together one on top of the other, because that's four people at least on there. So, but yeah, but anyways, I want to say to the indie developers, to third-party developers, and everybody, would you rather make games for the PS4? Or would you rather make games for the Switch, which is going to be a console that's going to be selling 200 million units? So, so which one?
Both.
Yeah,
both. You need the expanded, and PC is the biggest market. If you really think about it, that's where you're gonna have the more people. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Shenmue 3 for now is just PlayStation 4 and PC. Well, anyway, by the time that game comes out, it's probably going to be PS5 and PC, but we'll see. Go ahead, Caleones, with the next one.
Okay, well, the next one is that the Nintendo's teaser E3 2018 website has gone live. So right now, you guys can go over to the website. You can see it and try to see I mean, if they post anything, for now, what people are doing is just, bookmarking the website, putting it so it'll auto refresh and send any signals if there's um, any changes or anything at all, so they can be the first one reporting on it. But the website is live. I don't expect to see anything on there until maybe May, around the end of April or beginning of May is when you'll start seeing something on the site.
Yep, no, don't expect too much. But the only thing I put this news, Caleones, is hype. Get hype. E3 is getting close. Woo! We'll see what happens. This year's gonna be entertaining for sure. Go ahead, Caleones.
Well, and from what I heard is Nintendo is gonna have. Well, they already said that Smash is gonna be playable at E3. That they're gonna have a tournament, much like last year they had the ARMS and Splatoon 2 invitationals. They're gonna have the Smash Invitational as well, which is something that I was expecting all along because that's what they did last year because they expected to release Smash this year, but that's gonna be a big one. And then all the, that's when Nintendo's going to be talking about their second quarter releases. So, I mean, they already have, some of those games. We're expecting news on Metroid. We're expecting news on the Animal Crossing. Our, like crossing our fingers, Luigi's Mansion 3, and, and Pokemon for the Switch. So the E3 is going to be fun. Microsoft, it sounds like they're going to be doing something completely different. So they're not necessarily going to bring all the games, but it's going to be a little different. And when it comes to the PS4, they already had a delay with Days Gone, which got pushed over, to next year.
Sense.
But
makes a lot of sense.
But Spider-Man is probably going to be playable on there, so we'll see. It's going to be fun. Going over to the next one. Nintendo explains the limitations when it comes to the eShop. The initial limitations they had, they're going to be working on it. Nindies and indie games have enjoyed great success, but it is starting to get a little bit clustered and a little bit hard to search for games unless the games are on the top selling, if it is a new release, or like it's a little hard. It's not quite Steam or anything like that, but Nintendo's going to be working to find a way to make sure that the games do not get lost in it. So right now, Dantes, do you have any advice, anything that you would share, or what could Nintendo do in order to make it better?
No advice. I don't know. No advice. I don't know. I'm not a technical person.
Okay. Well, but we'll see. They're gonna try to make it better because they have so many games released right now. Like I said, it used to be a mini market. It's a supermarket now, and they have so many games. Just make sure that the smaller ones don't get lost within all the new releases and the big ones.
That's the biggest advice. Just make sure that the good games don't get lost in the shuffle between the crap and the good games. So.
Okay, and we have the Rare studio head said that there's a possibility of other studios working with its classic IP. So we have Rare used to be a developer for Nintendo before it was sold over to Xbox. The company, Xbox to Microsoft, which they currently own, and which Rare just had a new release last week with Sea of Thieves, which I've been playing, and I'll do a review for our website or for our channel. I'll do a review for it, but they said that it would be interesting, and it's a possibility that Microsoft could let other companies use their IPs and bring them to other platforms. So even though they're not saying that they themselves as a company would make games to other companies, but that they're open to having their IPs used by other companies and have them released on other consoles. So any possibilities for this? Anything that you can imagine? Any games that you would like to see?
No, I'm not. I guess I'm not knowledgeable about their past catalog, so I apologize for that. I know them by my Prime and Donkey Kong. That's about it. I don't know if you can say some of the games that they released in the past, because they were an unknown studio before they took on Prime, Caleones. That is the truth, right? So I don't know what games or IPs they used to make.
Okay, so just to go through the list. So of course, they did the Banjo-Kazooie. They worked on the Donkey Kong games. They have the Conker's Bad Fury. They worked on the Golden Eye and on the Perfect Dark. For the Xbox, they had done the Cameo games. And they have, I mean, if you go all the way back, they worked on games such as, Battletoads, Blast Corps, Beyond Pinata, Jet Force Gemini. So they have a pretty good list
Oh, you're talking
of
about
games that they can
Rare.
tackle.
I thought you were talking about, I don't know, I
No,
crossfire.
it is Rare. Yeah, we're talking about Rare Studios, not Retro. Rare.
It's my bad. I heard wrong. I thought you said retro. So I apologize, guys. So yeah, Rare. Yeah, whatever. Rare is not anywhere close where they used to be. So
But hey, there's a possibility. I know the biggest one that people are talking about is about Banjo Kazooie. Of course, I know for a fact that Microsoft is not. I mean, they know what's been happening with Sony and with their big releases. They're talking about making a Spyro now. So that's one game that they may go into making. And what was the other game last year that the Sony released that's going to be coming out for the Switch this year?
Crash Bandicoot.
Crash Bandicoot, and it sold extremely well as well. So I'm pretty sure they're thinking about possibly making games like Banjo Kazooie and those, and being able to release them maybe as a time exclusive on the Microsoft console, and then open it up to other systems. So we'll see. A lot of possibilities, but I'm glad that they're open. I know that the main reason is probably because they're not in first place, and when you're not in first place, you start thinking about doing certain things like this. But I'm glad that they're open to the possibility.
Yep.
So moving on to the next one, Hori has announced a Nintendo Switch Joy-Con with a proper D-pad. So this is something that people have been asking for a long time, from Nintendo, and they wish that it would have been released this way. But it is understandable that if you're going to be using the Joy-Cons as two different controllers, you need to have the joystick and the buttons as well. So they had to design it that way. But Hori is getting ahead of people that have been wanting it, and it's going to be coming out by July of this year. So for people that like 2D games, for people that like having that feel and that precision, great news for all of you.
We'll see. Typically, third-party controllers are not the best, Caleones. So we're gonna have to wait and see if this is worthwhile. But it's a good idea. I mean, if you could carry this controller with you when you want to play with the proper D-pad, and then you can pull out the other two when you want to play with someone else. So we'll see what happens. I think Nintendo could have come up with something that it was like an adapter. You could still turn it into buttons, or you could turn it into a D-pad. I don't know. Maybe the next Switch version may get some type of a fix for that, because that's a weakness, Caleones. You have to admit it. Even though the Switch was a proper design console, that is a weakness that they don't have a proper D-pad. That's why I like playing with the Pro Controller for sure. But again, when you're in portable mode, it's serviceable, but it's just, you still prefer a D-pad for certain games, and more for the indie games, just in case.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm glad that they're doing it. What this gives you is more possibilities, and you can never go wrong with having more possibility when it comes to different controllers and different options for the system. So I'm glad they're doing it. So moving on, Nintendo has posted some new Mario Odyssey hint art, which means that they're posting certain images that you got to go to a certain place, do a ground pound in this case. So the latest one, they stated that the latest hint art is use the hint in this image to help you find where treasure is buried. Do a ground pound in the right place and you'll get something good. So they, I mean, except for like an image on there, they haven't really spotted, like said anything else. They show the X and they show the shape of the image, so it could be on any of the worlds. I haven't exactly looked at, to see if anybody has found it already, but this is Nintendo giving more life to a game that's already pretty big, pretty huge.
I think it's just, you're going to do the ground pound, Caleones, and you're going to get the DLC for free.
Okay, well, and maybe Luigi comes out of there.
Yeah.
So we'll see
I wish. Hey, someone finds Luigi instead of hanging with balloons, please let me know, because I would be happy to play as Luigi in Mario Odyssey. Trust me.
Yeah, and we already got insulted twice. Even though I'm not complaining, even though I really am complaining, but when they first revealed the Luigi's Balloon World, it's the first image. It kind of implied that there was a new section with Luigi, but it turned out to be the Balloon World. And then they show Luigi's Mansion remake for the 3DS instead of the Switch. So we're still going crazy here for our new Luigi game, but we're still left waiting. So we'll see.
We'll see. That should with this calendar with Luigi's Mansion coming to the 3DS, I don't see new Luigi's Mansion coming to the Switch this year. Just to give you a heads up.
Uh,
Anyway, we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong.
well, we'll see. I think there's a pretty good chance, if not this year, next year, but it has to happen if Nintendo wants to sell those 200 million consoles. But moving along, and this is from Media Create, basically sales news coming out of Japan, is that the Nintendo Switch last week sold 54,000 units.
Yep.
That's a lot. The 3DS sold 9,000. Where, I mean, 3DS is starting to kind of like go down. There's not really big releases this year except for, Luigi's Mansion. But I think the Switch, the 3DS has probably like 5 games or 6 games at most releasing this year. So you already see the decline of games coming out. We'll see next year if they announce a successor or if they say that they're going to be putting together the departments from the 3DS and Switch and having the games found, like concentrating one console. But number one on the best-selling games in Japan was Kirby Star Allies with 222,000 copies sold, making it the third best-selling Kirby game in Japan in history. Then we had Splatoon 2 once again, second place with 30,000 more. Attack of Titan 2 for the PS4 was in third place. Attack of Titan 2 for the Switch was in fourth place. So the PS4 sold 28,000. The Nintendo Switch sold 22, almost 23. So for the install base, that's a pretty good number since the PS4 outsells currently 2-1 the Switch. Then you have the Hokuto ga Gotoku with 20,000. Monster Hunter World number 6 with 100. Well, it's actually they don't even say how many on there. You have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe number 7 with 15,000. Attack on Titan 2 for the PS Vita. At number 8 with 15,000. Number 9, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild with 10,000. And Breath of the Wild already has sold 918,000 in Japan. So it's getting close. And like we said, it's going to do it this year. It's finally going to get to 1 million sold in Japan alone. So that's going to be a big achievement for a franchise that normally has been bigger outside of Japan. And number 10, Super Mario Odyssey with 9,000 sold for a total of 1.6 million in its lifetime. So, Dantes, how do you see the sales?
Good sales, 50,000. I'm going to go quick because we're 57 minutes in. Today we're doing the overtime. But great sales, 50,000, over 50,000 sold in Japan. That's big numbers. That was numbers that the PlayStation was getting with Monster Hunter. So you can see the Kirby has good staying power because that's the big release in Japan, and I think that helped push consoles. I don't think that will happen in the US, but Kirby probably bigger in Japan. We'll see what happens. Great sales. Nintendo's killing it in Japan, pure and simple.
Okay, then next week we're gonna have a new arcade archives release, and to the Nintendo Switch is gonna be coming out the Punch Out game. So March 30th, Punch Out. Put in your calendar. You can download it on the Switch and play the classic game on there. Then moving on to the next one, and this is from Amazon Canada. They have confirmed that Gate Elite Western, they will have a Western release for the Nintendo Switch. Basically on the game, it includes the fully animated adventure. They have a new way to time leap and branching storylines, but they haven't really specified when exactly the game will be coming out, but it will be coming out, which is the important thing. Dantes, and closing out all the stories that we have, and this is another release, the remodeled Tormented Fathers will be coming out on the Switch as well. They haven't really specified when, but more games coming out to the Switch, which is always great news.
Yeah. Did you open the eShop games? Because I forgot to send it to you.
No, but by the time you close this, it will be open.
Okay, we'll do that then. Anyway, Caleones, thank you for a lot of news today. It took longer than I expected. I guess we were in a talkative mood today. With that said, Caleones, if I wanted to know the hottest and what's the happenings games for the Nintendo Switch, which is our favorite store, and it's not Toys R Us anymore.
Yeah, it's not Toys R Us. Hey, it might be KB Toys. Who knows? They're coming back. But for now, it's going to be Shigeru's Supermarket.
Take it away.
Okay, so basically for the releases that we have, this this week for Nintendo, we're going to be talking about the games that are coming out or the ones that are just recently available. So for the Nintendo Switch, and I said I was going to have it open by the time we finish this, and guess what? I didn't have it open by the time we said this. But the new releases for the Switch are going to be, of course, the biggest one out of all of them is the Kirby Star Allies, but that was for last week. This week is going to be Castle of Art, Neo Geo's World Heroes 2 Yet, Moon Patrol, Dead Spike San, Gekito's Kintaro's Revenge, No Thing, Opus Rocket of Whispers, Sly Away Camp Butcher's Cut, Soul Divide Source of Darkness, Attack on Titan 2, Shantae and the Paris Curse, Swim Out, and not as many releases as last week, but those are the games for this week, Dantes.
Hey, not all weeks are gonna be gold, so I don't know any of those games. So you pick. What's the game of the week?
Well, based on my friends and the one that they've been playing, they've enjoyed a lot. Attack on Titan 2. They've also enjoyed a lot of Opus, Rocket of Whispers. So those seem to be the ones that are kind of up there. When it comes to it, there's a lot of people still playing Kirby that came out 2 weeks ago. But yeah, it's and Last Day of June is another one that came out 2 weeks ago that a lot of people are playing as well. But it seems like Attack on Titan 2 and Opus, Rocket of Whispers would be the co-games of the week.
Okay. The show is done, Caleones. 1 hour and 1 minute. We went overtime. But with that said, Caleones, let's end it. Let me put that sweet Xenoblade music. Ooh. You get pumped to end it on fire, baby. But let's do our closing. I want to thank everybody who came through and watched the newest Get In and Get Out Nintendo podcast, episode 39, right here at the Force In Unison gaming channel. Please remember to subscribe, like, and comment so you can make these two crazy MFs happy. Also remember, if you don't want to see ugly faces, hey, we got a solution for you. Go to SoundCloud and iTunes and download this podcast for free. Rate us over there so you can show us some love. Also, go to the description box below because, again, we are losing one show. So now we have Mondays, Xenoblade Mondays, Tuesdays, Force In Unison Live, Wednesday, streaming Wednesdays with Caleones, and of course Saturday, the Get In and Get Out Nintendo podcast. Also, we have a Facebook page called @Force In Unison Gaming. And finally, and Dantes says finally, go to chiguerosnews.com and switchcore.net and give some clicks and love to my boy Caleones. With all that said, thank you again for joining us. Everybody, good night and long live Nintendo. See you guys.